I am rolling! Pre-production. Marker. Hello, class. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying healthy. Hopefully this is the last week that we'll be doing this. I wish I could rush through this one, but it's probably going to take a little longer because there's a lot to it. This is pre-production. So there's a lot to pre-production. Pre-production is the backbone of your whole production. So in the past, whenever you've shot stuff, you may have just thought, I'll grab a camera, I'll go shoot stuff and make it up along the way. That isn't how it works with big films. I'm assuming your goal is to do this professionally, whether that's just small client videos, small productions, or move on to the big film sets. Either way, you're going to need to know pre-production, planning and scheduling and all that good stuff. So you want to make sure when you're shooting that you've thought of almost everything. Because what happens when you're shooting is problems are going to arise. Things that you never thought would happen. And you want to be able to just deal with just those and not 14 other issues that you should have thought of. So there's obviously going to be problems. You're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to overcome issues, and problem solving is part of filmmaking. It just is. But the goal is to minimize all that stuff. And that's where pre-production comes in. So I have a pre-production checklist. First off, story outline. You guys did that for assignment 1. Script, that was assignment 3. So you already have that stuff taken care of. Crew, heads of departments. Now, this is, your heads of departments are, your producer would be me, your DP, director of photography. And at this point, we're just, when I say DP, it's director of photography. When I say AD, it's assistant director. Production designer is usually production designer. Sometimes it's mentioned as PD. But again, don't worry if you don't get this right. You can ask me, what does that mean again? I don't expect everybody to know this shorthand straight away. It'll come to you. That's experience. So the heads of departments, you want to lock that down first. Your producer and director, DP, production designer, and your AD. Those are your top people. Now, you might start getting into, if you have a story or a script that's a period piece and the wardrobe is crucial. And something like that, you want to bring on a wardrobe person as soon as possible. The goal is to bring these heads of departments on sooner rather than later, because you want them to give their professional input. The DP will focus primarily on the cinematography and the lighting for the film, the camera movement, if there is some. Is the whole film going to be on a dolly? Is it all going to be handheld? So this is the discussion that a DP and a director would have. They'd sit down, have meetings, and just kind of go through, find out what the director's vision is and how that can be applied to the camera department. The same with the production designer. The director would sit down with the production designer and figure out what's the overall look of the film. What's the color palette? Now, again, remember your pitch deck. Your pitch deck, that is a great help. So the production designer, you can hand that pitch deck off to a production designer and they can look at it, and it can be almost apparent right there. Oh, you've got color. This is the color you're going for. I get it. They read the script. All those heads of department will read the script. And usually when they read the script, they read it from their department. So if I'm the DP on a project and a director asks me to read the script, I go in really with a mindset of how does this look in my head from a camera and lighting standpoint. So that could be, I read a scene, and it could be a very energetic, high energy, angry scene. Maybe the scene is a couple people arguing. There's a fight. I might instantly just think, oh, we should go handheld for the whole thing. And so I make these notes as a DP when I'm reading the script, and usually it's physically on the script. I'll just go handheld, question mark, go through it, just things that pop into my head. So when I have the next meeting, and you should have quite a few meetings, when I have another meeting with the director, we'll kind of go through the script and I have questions. Hey, I saw this scene, I saw the scene as being handheld. And the director might say, oh, I didn't even think about that. And then you kind of discuss why and the benefits. I think it should be handheld because there's a fight, and I can move that camera and add energy to the whole scene. The scene feels like it has energy. With the camera, I can intensify and help push that energy of this scene. So your heads of department, you bring them in very quick. Once the script has got the go-ahead from the producer, you find the people that you want to fill those positions. Now, you'll notice I'll scroll down, remaining crew right here. So that happens much further down. Not a lot further down, but there's a lot of other things that come before that. And the reason for that is the heads of departments need to get on the same page with the director. It's sort of big picture, big vision stuff. And they start to figure out what they need to make this film happen with regards to their department. And that usually determines, once that's figured out, that determines how many crew you'll need. For example, if I'll go back to the DP, if the whole film was handheld, I don't need to get a dolly grip. If we decided it's going to be handheld and a couple scenes with a dolly, I would reach out at that point, when we need to reach out for more crew, I would reach out to somebody I knew who's comfortable and competent building a dolly track, using a dolly. They know how to push and pull the thing. They know all the working parts to it. And that may just be for one scene on one day, but it would be my job to find that person. It might be the producer's job or the AD's job, the assistant director's job. Usually it's the producer, but with small short films, the AD could take this on. They might be the one, and they usually are the one, to also reach out and basically figure out their rate, if they're available, because as the DP, I don't figure out the scheduling. That's not my job. I just give people, like the assistant director, the information on how long this shot will take, the issues. Is it a day scene? Are we outside? Then we need to shoot this during the day. I'm going to need all this gear to keep it lit or to keep the rain off of us. So give us the whole day to shoot this scene. That's when the AD would take that information, along with similar information that the production designer has given them, the wardrobe department has given them, hair and makeup has given them, sound department, all these heads of department. And the AD is the one that creates that schedule and determines when we need crew. They will also ask the heads of department, how many crew do you need to make this happen efficiently? And that's exactly why you'll see the scheduling comes before reaching out to the crew. So for your projects, you'll have a core group, a little simplified because you have your core group shooting on one week and the rest of the class supports that. But you'll find some people aren't available on the weekends. Some people are only available during class time, but they can't stay after class time. So that's the AD's job to reach out to those people, figure out when are you available, when can you help us, because they're going to have a list of information. We need, on Saturday, we need 4 grips. We need, Sunday we only need 2 grips. So then they'll start piecing who's available on Saturday and Sunday. We're going to review this in class, and then during the Zoom meetings, this will probably come up a little more. So then we can discuss it more. But this list is a great checklist of what should be done first. So this is in order of importance. So you got your heads of department, script breakdown, and shot lists. So this will help figure out everything you need for the shoot, including locations, budget, props, a rough schedule, etc. This will also help the AD make call sheets and figure out final scheduling. So you just break that script down and, okay, we're shooting, 5 pages of the script, which is half of the script, in a classroom. Okay, well, can we do that in 1 day? Can we do that in 2 days? Is it just dialogue? Is it a lot of movement? Again, the AD would talk to the heads of department to figure out what goes into that. So it's not only talking to the heads of department, but the director. Actual meetings are really good. Not just email. You want to sort of get to a coffee shop or a classroom, a space at school or somewhere that you decide on, and just have those heads of departments talking to one another. And the AD is making notes, asking questions and answers, back and forth. And the shot list is also very important. The director and the DP should get together and create a shot list. I like to have a producer or an AD sit in on that meeting, because what I found works best is the director and DP will go through a scene, mention the shots, AD or DP will write them down, and then it's nice to have the AD or producer or somebody else, when that scene is done, just kind of pause and go, okay, this is what I've got. This shot 1A, dolly shot. Shot 1B, wide shot. Shot 1C, medium shot. Shot 1D, a 2-shot. Shot 1E, a single on this character. 1E, a single on that character. And then insert shots. That's a lot of shots. And that's when you can have the AD would maybe ask the director, is there something in there that we could cut or save for last? So things like the medium shot, you could probably cut, or a 2-shot, or so that's then it forces the director to think, what do I absolutely need to tell this story in the edit? So it's great to have that shot list with the director and DP, definitely, and then an AD in there to just sort of manage and be the sort of fly on the wall and then ask those questions, because they're the ones that are going to have to schedule everything and save time. The shot lists I'll post up on Canvas, and the Google Drive will have examples. And real quick, I'll show you right here. I've got Clark College students, and this is DMA 202 for students, spring 2020. Probably getting used to this right now, so the format will be the same on the Google Drive. Pre-production documents. I have this pre-pro checklist in there. Producer stuff, very similar to the pre-pro checklist. The pre-pro templates. I have a bunch of things in here. I'm going to add a shot list template in there too by the time you see this up on Google Drive. Budget. I understand this is a school project. You may end up most likely buying things, paying for stuff. I recommend having a little bit of extra cash for food, just at least for weekends. If you're shooting on the weekends, which you most likely will be, having food, lunch for your crew. And that's up to you on how much you want to spend. I think my wife estimates for a normal medium-sized crew of about 12 to 15 people, $70 a day. That's enough to get maybe some snacks and things so people can snack along the way. It's called Crafty. Crafty is that little crafty table where there's maybe some peanuts, some fruit, some candy, maybe a tray of veg and dip. Little bit of everything for everyone. A little sweet, a little healthy. So, but the food, like lunch on the weekends, you can do pizza, you can do sandwiches, you can go as big as you want. The AD should check people's dietary restrictions. Food is mood. So if you're asking people to work for free, you want to feed them. And what you can do is, especially in a student shoot situation, is spread the cost between your group. So you have a core group of maybe 5 to 7 people. Just see if you can. Everybody can chip in. Just spread that cost a little bit. Moving on to locations, locking down the locations will determine the shoot dates. Never ever assume. If you need to shoot in a bar location, if you go and talk to the manager and they say, yeah, sure, you can shoot here on Saturday, and then they forget. They get distracted. They don't care. They have to run a business. Your film project is not as important as their business. Follow up. Get them to say yes, okay, and have some options for them. We'd like to shoot on Saturday. We could also shoot on Sunday. We're not sure yet. Which one works best for you? Especially if it's a major location such as a bar or a restaurant. What you'll find is they think you're a student shoot and you're coming in with one camera and no big deal. The reality is you're coming in probably with about a dozen people with lights, with C-stands, sandbags, stingers, all of the gear. So you're going to be bringing a lot of gear, and you're going to be covering windows so the light doesn't come in. You're going to be taking over the place. It's like a small army. So you have to warn them that there's going to be quite a few people. You don't want to disrupt their business, but is there a time that maybe, especially a bar or a restaurant, there's usually a time where employees or somebody comes in to prep before they open. That's really good. That's ideal. It can either be before they open or after they close, which is what creates crazy hours for film shoots. But be mindful that you don't really want to shoot with too many public or with a business open, it's tough because you have people just walking through. Employees will get mad because you're disrupting the customers. So you go and lock that down pretty quick, because that will determine your schedule. And like I said before, follow up. Just, get their email, get their phone number. Email them several times. All right, this is when it's confirmed. We're going to be here Saturday, 7 a.m. So-and-so is going to meet us. I'll be there. I'll be the contact person. Your employee that's going to open up for us is named John Smith. We will meet John Smith outside this time, and then we'll load in. You can kind of get a little detailed and try and make it as professional sounding as possible, that email, and get them to respond. Is that okay? If you don't hear anything from them, email them again. I just need a confirmation. Is everything still on for that date? If they say, yes, I'm sorry I didn't respond, great, okay, thank you. Email back, thank you for your response. We will be here at this date and with that information. If they're slow to respond through email, you call. So that's the AD's job. The AD's, a lot of this pre-production this is the AD world. Locations. So things to look out for locations. Is there parking? Is there a good place to stage gear, to stage hair and makeup? Hair and makeup need somewhere where they can put their stuff out. Every department will need a little spot to put their stuff out. Camera department, over there. Sound department, just next to them. Lighting and grip, over there. Now, remember, you don't want to have to move stuff all around. I'm going to jump ahead. After you have the location confirmed, there's what's called a tech scout. That's where the director of photography and the production designer and anybody else that's related to that. So the DP might want the gaffer and a grip to come along, because what you're going to start to figure out is, where are you going to shoot? Are you going to shoot that way? And you might shoot that way. So that means over there is clear to put all of our gear. So that's the tech scout. And you start to figure out where the power outlets. Where can we put hair and makeup? And they're going to need power. Where can we charge batteries? Camera department can go over there. We can charge batteries. And you should, at this point, have the shot list. So you know the shots that you want to get when you go back to that location. If you can do an initial location scout, which is this, location scout, find the locations that you like, contact the people, and then you figure out during the schedule when you want to actually shoot, and then go back and do a tech scout. Tech scout is good. And I'm kind of rushing through some of these, and I'll keep harping on them the closer we get to your shooting time. Schedule, I'm jumping back. After locations, lock down shooting dates. So this is important to do before casting is done, because when you do auditions or you cast the roles, you can let people know this is our shoot time. Now you guys are lucky because you have Tuesday, Thursday during class time and the weekends. And we can't shoot before those 2 production weeks, and we can't shoot after. So that's fairly easy to do. Yeah, but plan out the shooting schedule using shot list schedule and time estimates. That's the AD, and again, sitting down with the DP and director, the production designer. Maybe a whole room needs to be completely dressed up. Maybe this is supposed to be a teenager's bedroom, and there's supposed to be posters of made up bands on the wall. That's going to take some time. So the art department will need time to dress the set. So same with bars. Bars, you can't really show the labels, so somebody needs to go in, turn all the labels, or turn all the bottles with the labels, so you can't really see the labels. Yeah, that's the type of stuff the AD should be asking the heads of department. How much time are you going to need for this? And tech scouts help. Tech scouts go, you can say, oh, we're going to see all that. We're going to see that. We're going to see that back wall. Production designer can say, well, I'm going to need about at least an hour and a half just to dress it. So give me 2 hours, half an hour to bring my stuff in, and an hour and a half to dress it. Great. AD's writing that stuff down. Casting. So casting, this says should be done about a month before shooting. That's ideal. I think on our schedule, we don't have that much time. Week 6, auditions. And then week 7, we have a workshop. And so week 8 is our first production. So yeah, beginning of week 6, we're going to try and get our actors. And hopefully by the end of week 6, we'll know who's got what role. We'll just figure that out and get them the scripts. And, it's going to be tough on them because they really only have about a week. So don't put too much dialogue in your scripts. And we'll talk again about auditions. I think during our Zoom meeting that's going to come up. I mean, I'd love to have collaboration with the theater department at Clark. I've sent out a couple emails. I haven't heard back. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. This is a little different for all of us. So it may be that I put the feelers out to actors that I know. We'll use your character bios. We'll post on Facebook. That has a lot of acting groups, film groups. We'll put the word out that way. And we'll also discuss in a different, either in class or the online Zoom meeting. We'll talk about dealing with actors, communicating to them, what the protocol is. But casting, yeah. We'll lock down actors, and then we'll figure out the crew. Who's going to do what? The supporting crew. And I'm just going to jump back to our schedule. So I believe I have on, so week 5, all roles and productions will be decided. So I'm really hoping by week 5, we have our core groups. People will gravitate to certain projects, certain scripts, certain ideas. If everybody just goes for one script, I'm going to jump in and kind of say, you can't do that, you can't. And we'll kind of figure out through people's schedules, who's available for what, who's in what group. It's going to be a little complicated, but by week 5, theoretically, we should have the core groups, the 2 groups, and with those heads of department figured out. And then week 5, we'll figure out who's going to support who as the support roles. Grips, production assistants, helping with art department, who's the AC, who's the second AC, if there's somebody that wants to help with sound. So we'll figure that out by week 5. That's remaining crew. We talked about Tech Scout. So that's Tech Scout. By that point, you know who your gaffer is, your grips, anybody else that's helping. Maybe there's a couple people in the art department. And then gear. And then it's, after the Tech Scout, you really realize what kind of gear you need in the environments that you're going to be shooting in. And the workshops that we'll do in class will help you realize that. By this point, you should know flags, C-stands, stingers, all the support, the gear support, and we'll discuss that. But yeah, the gear, that's gear lists. Heads of department, and this gear thing is primarily, it's heavier on camera and lighting and grip. Art department is more figuring out their props if they need to build stuff. If they have a list of items that need to be collected, this is definitely that point in the process. Yeah, so your DP would figure out what camera are we using and what lights they'd like to have, and then create that list and get it to the people that need to have it, which would be me in this class. So call sheets. So call sheets are a big one. Now, call sheets are sent out generally the day before the shoot. A call sheet is basically a PDF, or it used to be a physical piece of paper that was handed to you that has a lot of information on it. Call sheets primarily have the time that you need to be at the location the next day, and it has the address of the location that you need to be at. There's a lot of other information in there, like contact information, and I'm going to show you a video just now what a call sheet has in it. Before I show you that video, I'm going to also just show you a quick call sheet, but it has all the information your cast and crew will need to be prepared for the day. So up here you have the executive producer, and this is from a Word template, so you guys can use this and delete some stuff. Executive producer, that might be, like Crystal. She represents the college. That's the money. The producer would be me. The director, whoever the director is. Production manager. We don't really have one on your production, so that could be deleted. Production coordinator can be deleted. First assistant director, AD, so we will have one of those, so you can put their name in here. The title of the film. Let's see, let me open up this one real quick too. For those of you that prefer Excel. So this is an example of an existing call sheet. The name of the production is To Dream. The main call time for the production is 7 a.m. Now, further down, there's individual call times. So this is kind of a general call time. So you can quickly look at that and go, okay, I probably have to be on set by 7. But I am the gaffer. As an example, I am the gaffer. Let me check. And as I scroll down here, let's see. So that's the front. On the back, now let me zoom in a little bit so you can see this. I'm going to look for the gaffer. And the gaffer would be in the G&E, also known as general or grip and electric. So right here is the gaffer, John Smith, that's my name, 7 a.m. So it does fit with this time. But let's see if anybody else has a different call time. It looks like most people 7 a.m. And location manager Looks like their call time is 12:30, so they get to sleep in that day. That's cool. The people doing breakfast, catering, they have to be there at 6:20. Sucks for them. But everybody else gets to come in 7 a.m. So we'll go back to the front of the call sheet. Yeah, so you've got, this is the main time, and let's see if they have the location right here. That's where we're going to shoot. Southeastern High School Auditorium, 123 Westway Avenue, New York, New York. Okay. So that's important. And so this, you can see this has a lot of information on it. This also tells you what scene we're doing, the sets and descriptions, interior music, concert hall. Marianne and Roger watched Sally perform. I would recommend the ADs grabbing these templates and just checking them out, going through, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does this section mean? You can ask me questions, obviously. Some of this will be relevant to your production, some of it won't be. And that's fine. A lot of people just will leave this stuff, props, special effects, vehicles, wardrobe. They'll just leave them in there, and you could just leave it blank if it's not applicable, because you never know. Things may change, maybe last minute, just before the call sheet gets sent out. And real quick, we're going to fire up a video. We're going to watch this.
Hey guys, it's Alex for Studio Binder again, and this time we'll be talking in a general sense about the anatomy of a call sheet. What should be on it, what it actually does, why you need one. Every single call sheet needs to have, obviously, number one, the name of the production. It's got to have the name of the production, it's got to have the date of the shoot, and then it needs to have what day of the shoot you're on. Also on the top of the call sheet is going to be the major contact info, like who's the director, who's the producer, who's the UPM, the production coordinator, the assistant directors. All of that will be on the top part of the call sheet, so that if you do have a question and you do need to talk to somebody, this is who you should be calling. Somewhere up there is going to be the weather. You're going to have, sunrise, sunset, the temperature, whether or not it's supposed to rain. If there's notes about parking, there's usually a place where you can have that in there. Like, okay, location's here, but you actually have to park over there. Next to that, there's usually a section that says location. This will tell you where you're going. It will be the address of the location. If there's more than one location, they'll be numbered. It'll say location 1, location 2, location 3. They'll all have their own little address. And then there's an area that gets used for a lot of various things. It can either be for special props that need to happen if you're doing a stunt or an effect, or there's just general notes for the production as a whole. Like, there are going to be places you shoot in where smoking is absolutely not allowed. You need to know things like it's a closed set. Nobody can just wander in and visit or drop off your keys, any of that stuff. If it's a closed set, that means it's a closed set. You also need to make that kind of stuff very prominent. The next biggest chunk that you're going to get is going to be what you're actually doing for the day. Whether it's a commercial or a feature or whatever, there's going to be a little breakdown. It's going to tell you a description of the scene, if it's a day or a night shot, how long it is in the page count, which gives you a good guess of how long it's going to take to film it, and who's actually in it. Which talent are in it, do you need special props or whatever. All that'll be contained in this one little strip of a description. And you'll have a whole bunch of those just stacked up, and then at the bottom of that, we add up the pages so you know the total page count for the day. There's also going to be, based on the production, if you're doing multiple meals or meals at different locations, all that information gets contained on there. It'll tell you what time meal is going to be, because meal is 6 hours from general crew call, always. After we do all the scene breakdown, there will be a little section for the talent that's coming in for the day. They all have their own individual numbers usually, and then they'll have their real name and their character name, and then it will say what time they're supposed to come to set, and if they have any specific notes, like go to location 1, go to location 2, that'll all be in their little section. Below them, there's usually one for background talent. If you have any, they get their own little specific area for that. Also on the top of your call sheet, and it should be very obvious, and this is something that always has to be there regardless of what you're doing, you have to know where the nearest hospital is. Even if you have multiple locations, if you have to put multiple hospitals on there because your locations are very far apart, you have to do it. And it has to be the nearest hospital with an emergency center. It cannot just be the local clinic. It can't be the oncology ward. It has to be a full-on hospital with an emergency center, because the only reason you're going to be looking this up is because you have an emergency. Something else that can go in the notes of your call sheet is the walkie channels. They vary by production, who's using what, and it's always a good idea to have it on there somewhere. It's also something that people who maybe aren't very comfortable yet with their walkie, they haven't had a lot of experience, they can reference it and they know I have to go to this channel to talk to these people.
Call sheets. We'll discuss that more and more as we get closer to the productions, so don't stress out too much. That is the AD's role, that's their job to get that out. So that's why the assistant director, the AD, is always gathering information. And gathering information, deciphering information, and then making decisions with regards to scheduling, where things are going to go, how things are going to work. They're the sort of the captain of the ship while we're just before we're about to shoot, getting us right up until that point. And then when we're shooting, they back off, let the director do their thing, and then they come in when we cut, and we kind of keep going. So we'll review that a lot more. But the AD, this is a big part of their job. So those of you that like organization, release forms. Yeah, that is something, if we're shooting at a bar, a restaurant, gas station, you're going to need some sort of form for the owner or the person in charge to sign and say, yes, you can shoot there, because of liability. And you want to get that stuff filled out. That could be products, extras, actors, crew, all that stuff, because that's the stuff, if you don't get that paperwork done and you edit the film, it looks great, and then you put it out there and one person says, I don't like it, take that down. You don't have my permission. That means all that hard work's for nothing. So that's extras, location, products, music. For this project, you're going to be using copyright-free music, or you get the rights to use some music. And I'll also have this up on the, I'll try and get it all up on Canvas as well, especially the pre-production documents, but I'll definitely have it on the Google Drive for sure. I touched on Crafty. Crafty is, snacks, a little bit of unhealthy, a little bit of healthy, just enough so that people can snack on along the way, because it's not like a normal job where you can take a 10-minute break, go grab some coffee, come back. It's always go. So you'll find that sometimes you're busier than other people when they're lighting. If you're the sound person, you can run to Crafty. When they're shooting, the lighting people can go to Crafty, refuel. So it's sort of a production it's like waves. Some people get a little busier and other people not so busy. And then you take advantage of those moments to kind of refuel, go to the bathroom, drink water, take a moment. And Crafty is good for that. It just keeps people that chance to just refuel. Food is mood. That's a big one. Crafty, and then feeding people. Feeding people is huge. If you're not going to pay them, feed them. So I have these documents up on the Google Drive, and I'm going to try and get them up on Canvas for sure. This producer stuff document has a lot more involved in it. This pre-pro checklist is a good one, is a good guide. The producer stuff document it has a little bit more information to it. The breakdown sheet is a good one for just breaking down what's happening, what's involved in scene 15. What's the page of the script? So it's a good way to gather a lot of valuable information. Who are the cast members in scene 15? Are there background actors? If so, they can go here, props. You can add all that, so you can just write that stuff in. And again, this especially is going to be very helpful for your production binder. When you actually have it on set, this document, this breakdown sheet for each day of shooting or each scene, and you have that in here, and then you have a quick reference of a checklist. Do I have all the information? This is what we need for this day or this scene. So this is a really, really helpful thing for on the day of shooting. So I recommend having that. Camera notes. So I'm going to have these some extras when you're shooting. I'm going to have these printed off, but I recommend if you want to take advantage of just printing these off. So we will delegate somebody to fill this out. A lot of the time it's the second AC or the first AC, first camera assistant, or second AC, second camera assistant. Just write in what's the camera that we're using. Is it a Canon C100? The roll it used to be the film roll. Every time they needed to put in a fresh roll of film, they'd give it a number. In our case, it would be an SD card. First day of shooting, 001. So today, filming these, this is the third SD card I've used. I filled it up, dropped it, dumped it, put that footage somewhere, and now I'm on roll 3. So it's on the slate, and it would be on this camera report right here. Oop. So then you can look at this sheet and then look at your footage and look at the slate, because you have the slate in first, and the editor can see this is roll 3, and then go back to these notes. And this is really helpful if you need to redo a shot. If it was all out of focus and you need to go back and reshoot, then you can, what was the lens that you used? What f-stop were you on? Were you using any special filters? Any notes of any kind? If it's a lockdown shot, the camera needs to stay in a position. Maybe there's green screen work, or the camera needs to stay at a certain height and distance from the subject because you're going to create maybe a montage in different locations. This is extremely helpful, this document, because you make these notes, you measure how high the camera is off the ground, the distance it is from the subject, and you could put that all in here in this notes section. This is good to have on set and fill this out. We'll make sure that happens. And then going through our talent, they can fill this out. It's all pretty standard and kind of boring, but it's important. The location release, like we talked about, bar, restaurant, music release. This would be the artist. They would fill this out and they sign off on it. And that's it. Yeah, so I don't really have any more. This was a big one. I know it's about almost an hour long. Good luck. See you soon, hopefully next week.